Hello, everyone, and welcome to Zest Zen with me, Shel Marie, the podcast that takes you on a journey from the hustle to the harmony, fueling your passion whilst finding your peace. This week, I'm joined by the incredible Yuri Hirayama, a visionary educator, sustainability leader, and the heart behind the Yuri Education Center. As a Chief Sustainability Officer, the school director, and the Principal Educator, Yuri is transforming the landscape of learning in bold, heart-led, and deeply future-focused ways. Her mission is clear: to nurture a new generation of leaders who are not only academically equipped, this is really important, but also globally conscious and socially engaged, from empowering children as young as 4 to speak on global issues to uplifting mothers through purpose-driven education. Her work brings the 17 Sustainable Development Goals to life, a global call by the United Nations to end poverty, protect the planet, and ensure prosperity for all by 2030. She is redefining what education can be: bold, joyful, and world-changing. Her work is deeply rooted in purpose, compassion, and the belief that education is the key to a peaceful and sustainable world. Her guiding principle: if there is anything that can change the world, it has to be education, isn't just a philosophy. It's a way of life. Whether she's nurturing young minds or empowering mothers with small children, Yuri leads with heart, courage, and deep responsibility to future generations. After hearing her already speak about this on a previous event that I hosted at, I am so excited to reconnect with her and for her to share all her wisdom, her knowledge, and just her really beautiful vision. And it's such an honor to welcome you, Yuri. Thank you for coming on Zest Zen. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you. Thank you so much for your great introduction. Yes, I'm pretty honored. I'm very honored to be able to participate in your podcast as a guest. Yes,
Beautiful,
and I
and you
have
are
been
so welcome. I probably didn't even touch on half of what you're doing because, yes, even I remember when I was listening to your story previously, and I really thought I was focusing on this when I did the introduction, and then I was like, and you just pulled out this and this and this and this, and now that I know that you're focusing on the 17 goals, it makes complete sense. All that you're doing it's absolutely incredible. I just want to say that that's why I really wanted to connect with you again, because I feel like what you're doing is so forward thinking, so transformational, and with that in mind, like even inspiring and believing, because this is another thing. As an educator myself for over 12 years, I feel like there's this kind of ageist thing of like, oh, they're only 4. And so reading about what you're doing already shows that it's much more than just what you're implementing. There's a belief. And I think what we kind of place upon the younger generation ultimately is the kind of standard we're laying. So, if we have, and it's not again saying like exposing them to things that they don't need to know right now, but there's ways. So with that in mind, I would love you to just share more about what would that look like? How would that be incorporated in like for a 4-year-old? Like, I just think that's incredible.
Yes, well, starting from the age of 4, but actually I start teaching babies with mothers. So at the age of probably like 10 months or 11 months, but including their mothers. So in the community centers in Japan, actually there's some vacancy. There are vacant rooms. So the local government actually started to collaborate with me so that I could utilize those empty spaces and empty rooms so that I can include the mothers and the babies in the morning
Wow.
time. And by teaching English and also reading them sustainability related books, well, for example, showing animals, nature, and then how the world is going, and then what the main issues are. Well, even 1 year old babies well, can understand, right? The animals are very important. They coexisting with human beings. And then the mothers are actually absorbing those ideas and then, well, reading the similar books at home or interpreting in their own ways. So that was my morning activity in Japan. So the youngest ones were, yes, 10 months or 11 months, 10-year-old
Wow.
babies. Yeah, and
Wow,
then
that, yeah, sorry, carry on. Yeah.
established like trustful, like reliable relations with both with mothers and the babies. So then, when then again they enter kindergartens or nursery schools, then still that reliable relations went on, and then they became interested in doing algebra, geometry. So then I just
Wow.
kept educating them. Yes, right.
Wow, there's so much in that. And already just someone really seeing and acknowledging, like, for what may seem like, whether you were conscious of it or not, but something to you that you were just doing. But I think and not, it's not always about receiving the recognition, but when you know that someone else can see deeper and further than what you're doing. Because from my perspective, there's a difference between reading a book and really
Mhm.
consciously selecting the book and really opening that child's mind, even those pauses, those reflections, because there's having a book and reading it, and there's having a book and using it as a powerful tool to implement into education. So I really, really get exactly what you're saying. Like, for example, even in books that aren't focused that way, there'll be a story, and in the imagery, you could use that of like, oh, do you think that's good that there's litter all over the place? Why do you think the animals were upset about that? And I think this is really, really powerful what you're doing, and I agree, because I think sometimes from an adult perspective, our minds straight away go to an adult's understanding. But actually, like what you say, it's so subtle but so profound, and I love that you carry out that journey with the mother. That's really well, not just the mother, sorry, but a parental figure or an adult, because I think there's also, it's very important, because sometimes I find in education there's the school and there's the parents, and there's not always that, like, and I don't think it is always on purpose, but there's not always that connection. I don't think often, I think sometimes and it's not lack of trust or something. I just think that sometimes they just miss that important, like, collaboration. And I think sometimes, just if this is what you're doing, but even just modeling and having that session, with that beautiful session with the parent, and then them just being intrigued by it, instead of always doing a PowerPoint and this is what you should be doing, like, and I know both ways work, but I just think it's so beautiful what you're doing.
Hey, the reason why I started to gather mothers and babies is, well, I tried to create the peaceful atmosphere where the other
Mm.
mothers, right, can recommend something or communicate with each other. And then the babies became friends, right? Well, no matter how young they are, right?
Ah,
And not so many babies have brothers and sisters in Japan, right? Even the population is decreasing.
wow.
So why don't we gather those mothers and babies, yeah, so that they can, well, feel the shared atmosphere. So that was the
Oh
purpose.
my
Yeah.
gosh. So, can everyone now listening see what I mean when, like, you just see the heart behind this woman, okay? I just really want to put that out there. Already, what she's implemented, which is such a beautiful thing, is also it has so much more depth to it, and from a place of love, like, and it's not even like, okay, because that's something in Japan. It's actually still something, and whether they have siblings or not, it's just something that's just heart led, but so impactful. I really love that. It's so beautiful. And it's just bringing
And
that
not
unity, that oneness, like, we're all in this together. And I just think it's so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that.
focus on diversity and inclusion. And then in my community in Tokyo, actually, there are foreign people as well, especially the ones from India. Well, they are already like English speakers, but they join in order to get along well with Japanese mothers. And then I just used the word mothers, but some fathers joined the session as well. So really diversity and inclusion is my goal, right? Including foreign people and also even grandparents also are joining. So yes, it is very, very
thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for highlighting that, because again, I think we can focus on the wording and it's not that at all. Like, and I think even like defining the word mother, like I think mother is so often like, you know, the one that gave birth to the child, but it's not. Like, even as someone that was in education for over 12 years, like I'm not technically a mother, but I was the mother figure to those children. They were my babies that year or however long. And I used to always find it so funny because often people are like, you've got children, because of the way I spoke about them, because they were my babies, regardless of the age. Like, I'm not just saying they were only little, but they, you know, I was mother hen, and these are my babies in this year, and you know, we're in this together. So I really love that. Thank you so much. So with that in mind, I know you've already shared so much, but obviously for maybe any parent, well, actually this is quite kind of two sides, but just you can take what you want from it. But from any parents or educators maybe listening, what kind of advice would you give them, like as steps that they could do now to incorporate more unity or more sustainability or forward thinking for the future into their practices or their lives?
Right. What's your 17 goals, right? Think about this. That includes all kinds of materials, subjects, including social studies, language, and then, well, even mathematics, and of course, science, right? And what's going on in the world. So don't think, you know, some complicated 17 goals exist. Don't think that way, but starting from small. So for example, they can become very sociable, and then diversity and inclusion seems very difficult for them. But yes, just let's join. They can join some events where the ones from India, China, Korea, or from Europe and from the United States can communicate with each other, no matter what the language is, right? They don't really have to keep speaking English, but just let them feel the atmosphere so that, well, they can start communicating by gesture, fine, well, but the little knowledge of English will be okay, so that the kids, the babies can get used to such atmosphere. Just let them be exposed to those kind of events. They don't have to be perfect, yeah, but they need to get used to, right, communicating with them.
Beautiful.
Yes, that is the atmosphere they get. Yeah, they need to be accustomed to. So then they can basically learn about social studies and also diversity and inclusion and repurposing, for example, when they bring some like plates or coffee cups, something, right? Well, they think about whether they should use plastic items or paper items for the repurposing items. And then the snacks are actually wrapped individually in Japan. That's odyssey maybe, but when we think about the repurposing, right, then is it the right way, or maybe just buy one big package and share over there in the event? So those kind of ideas, right, they need to think about in each event. So it's really practical, yeah, and then that knowledge will be very useful. So I'd like them to experience as much as possible, including foreign people, including aged people, including younger kids. Yes, that is my approach.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? It needs to be like, it's okay kind of them going into school and having this way of understanding, and then but we kind of all need to be, and it's not dictating to other people, but like speaking on the same page. So I'm sure that people who are attracted to your education center, there's something that they see in it that they want to incorporate into their lives. Because again, like going back to being in various schools all over the world, from like, you know, from Peru to Dubai to the UK, there is a culture. There is a culture, and there is a way of the school that you know. There's a way that it's ran. There's values. There's a purposeful way. So, with that in mind, going back to your education center, and you creating that, what was it? Because just, like thinking about this, you know, you being the one to create this, like wow. But actually, when you think about that, and I'm sure it's an unraveling, unfolding process, that, you know, nothing is ever always perfectly ready, which is the whole beauty of life. But you kind of, what was it that inspired you to do this? Because we have so many multiple walks of life, and for you to do it and then to focus on those, you know, the 17 goals, and the way that you incorporate it in. No one told you had to do that. You could very much do it the same as everyone else, but there was something in you. So I'm just really intrigued. How did this come around? What was it that sparked this, basically?
Yes. Well, my education center, Yuri Education Center, is consistent of three things, right? In the morning time, I used to teach those mothers and babies in the morning. And then, well, now I live in Mexico, but I used to do that in Tokyo. And then in the morning activities, they have learned something they couldn't learn outside that place. So in order to be sociable, I have been teaching how to read their mind, how to communicate well with each other, and also how to be exposed to the nature, for example. So not only inside a community center, but also I take them out, right? Well, I take them to the parks so that they can observe things, they can draw things. So outside activity is very important. And then in the afternoon and in the evening time, after school exists. Well, after coming back from school, actually, I conduct lessons. And then inside the school, of course, education center, but also I take them to some places where they can observe things, so that they can think about how to repurpose items, for example. And then I encourage them to make slides and then do pitches and then make presentations in front of the other kids. And then sometimes by collaborating with some other organizations, they let us use the event halls venues, so that they can make public pitches and then presentations. And then I invite sustainability practitioners or professors so that they can evaluate my students' presentations. Those kind of atmosphere setting, opportunity setting is our educators' duty, responsibilities. Yes. That's my philosophy.
Yes. Yeah. There's so much you've touched on there, and obviously things that I noticed were, you know, on a very much smaller scale, but things that I was really noticing, and particularly when I started empowerment coaching, and the first time then someone not shoved, but gave me a microphone, and that's when I started thinking, this isn't about what's in me and what I know. This is actually between me and this thing that I have had no prior use of, no experience of using, because I think, and I'd love your take on this, there's a very different thing between now having a conversation and speaking in a room, and then all of a sudden you hearing your voice, which by the way sounds completely different, and you hear you speaking while you're speaking. And this was something I noticed from a very early time, while I was still, you know, in education, but still kind of doing the transition to empowerment coaching. And I was actually doing performing arts, and that was straight away something I was like, I don't ever want these children. And I was so blessed to have access to 400 children. I was in a very big school. And I said, this is something I'm going to eliminate now, because I never want them to be held back by sharing something, their story, their whatever it is, because of this tool that has now been placed in their hand. So in a play-based way, I used to incorporate it, and yeah, there was that fear, and then gave them an audience. So essentially incorporated public speaking without them aware of it. So, oh, I can't hear you, please stand up and use the microphone, even though they're in a teeny tiny room. But I knew that that was something. And like near the end of it, they didn't see this as anything, because when someone hands us a pencil, do we go like, no, we are all used to a pencil and a pen. But how many people really have had the experience of holding a microphone and hearing what their voice sounds like? So you just sharing that really like reminded me of little things that I wasn't just a performing arts teacher. I was incorporating life skills in the best way I can. Drama, like how to hold yourself together when they were dancing, how to stand and look professional on a stage. Now remember we're and using the element of drama as like, and it wasn't masking, but like like now pretend you are this confident lady. And they would, get your magic, whatever, sprinkle it on you, and now you're confident, and it would work. And it was so beautiful. So I just really felt like sharing that after you said all the beautiful things you're doing.
But what I was doing maybe 2 years ago was not enough. I didn't include so many people from all over the world. So that is why during the weekend, I started to include people from all over the world in Zoom sessions. Not like the class in presence, but not in person, but nowadays elementary school children and then junior high school students use Zoom and then internet and all kinds of devices much better than adults. Yeah. So I utilized those skills. And then the ones from Pakistan, the ones from India, Vietnam, even though they are in the same age here, they were more proactive, they were expressive, they were able to mention their own opinions, no matter how young they were.
Wow.
So Japanese students got influenced. They even got overwhelmed for the first time. And then that kind of communication and also experience were very, very worthy and important. So that's ongoing, no matter where I am. I'm in Mexico, but I can still continue those Zoom sessions. And then the students are like influencing with each other, and then they keep inviting other colleagues, and also I keep inviting other professionals, sustainability practitioners, professors, so that they can evaluate students' speech again, and also they can present something in front of my students. That kind of collaborative events are very useful. Something that children could do by themselves too, right? They can invite their friends with each other. They can even invite their own professors to the class. So, very proactive approach.
If I heard this right, I actually really love what you just said, because there's something very different to being in the safety and often your own kind of, if you're not exposed to other cultures, and it being so I really love that you just said that, so I hope I heard this clearly. And I love like what you said was, it was this other culture, and all of a sudden they were kind of like, oh, hold on, this is not how we normally respond. And so, but that is the beauty of it, because think of that, to learn that at a young age, and learn then, we're all different. And actually, this is this person, this is the way I am. But actually, we can learn to talk to each other and still express our views, still be kind, accepting, united as one. So I really love that. I think that's absolutely beautiful.
Well, diversity and inclusion, the term itself is very complicated.
Yeah.
Right? So, they would have to write down diversity and inclusion on the exam. But once they get used to that kind of concept, then now they understand what diversity inclusion is. And then since Japanese are such like collectivists, I would say, right? We tend to form a group, and there used to be but historically speaking, used to eliminate like foreign existence, for example. Not now. The awareness, the opportunity of being aware of importance of respecting others, admiring other
Yes.
people. That comes from really awareness, experience, not really, they need to learn about the history, of course. Yeah, we need, used to shut out foreign people's existence a long time ago, but now is the time we need to include important foreign people so that we can even increase the total population in the nation. But what I just said, right?
This is what I love about you, Yuri, is even in you saying that, which is, and I know, okay, it's probably not just you, but you use this beautiful, humble way of we. But I listen to the little gems in what you're saying of, I noticed this, that I took action on the weekend. I noticed this, that I did this, okay? And so I am so, so happy that someone else noticed what you're doing, because you say it like, oh, well, this was something that needed to be done. Not everybody does this. Not everybody thinks this way. So I really want to celebrate you there, like honestly, from my heart, because it's in having these forward-thinking ideas and actually taking action, because thinking not only for your own country and for the consciousness and the expansion that maybe, like what you say, it's been like this for so long, but in order for change, sometimes we have to think outside the box. We have to sometimes actually take action without someone paying us or someone acknowledging the recognition straight away. It's in just to say, leaders leading and taking action and believing in something that they want to see change for, that change comes. So I really want to say I admire you for that, and it's an absolute privilege not only to speak to you, but to also hear the way that you take something, and instead of seeing as that's the way it is, that's not going to develop our countries and unite us all. And it's not, again, doing it in a way of like changing anyone. No one is changing anyone, but it's accepting this culture and saying like, wow, do you know what? Actually, what can we do now that this culture or this country might need, that this culture has, and we can actually really support and build upon each other and become more united. And I think that's so beautiful.
That's right. In our country, Japan, well, food waste is the serious issue, right? But the other side of the world, lack of food is a critical issue. Then there should be a compromise. There should be a solution, what we can do together in order to balance the food production, for example. So yeah, we need to discuss. And then when we go to buffet, like the restaurants, right? Well, most of the restaurants do not charge leftover, right? But we as Japanese also try not to take so much, right? Even though they don't charge us, but we try eating everything. We need to try eat everything so that we don't have to waste any food. That kind of education is necessary, right?
But this is the thing. It's actually one little thing that is going to make a major difference. And sometimes it's not people purposely entertaining that. It's sometimes just a lack of thinking or awareness that, like, just even hearing this now and being like, oh, do you know what, actually, yeah, that's something I could easily incorporate into my life. So with that in mind, because I know for a fact, just listening to you and all that you're doing, that there's going to be many people that are like, I want to know more about this. I want to speak to this woman. I want to see how much I can get involved, or even if you're an educator or that wants to collaborate, or you're a parent that is like, do you know what, I would love some tips with my children. How can people now listening either connect with you or take steps to get more involved? Because for me, this is way beyond just an education center. This to me is a movement. This is something that has a base, a foundation, but like what you say, it doesn't. We are now so fortunate to have this connection, and I think often we're seeing we're seeing kind of, you know, sorry, the word's just gone out of my mind. You know what I'm trying to say? We see all this connection as a negative, and we're disconnected from the world. But actually, there's both sides to everything. Like now, we get to have this incredible conversation. You get to connect with different countries all over the world, and so yeah. Sorry, I just really felt like I just wanted to quickly share that.
Well, I frequently post on LinkedIn, for example, about the free Zoom sessions, for example, so that anyone in the world can connect. Well, as long as they have a smartphone or the computer,
Beautiful.
then they can join, freely join. Yes, that's the one thing. And then also, if someone is very interested in, then I can send my advice. I can give advice directly, right? So the first approach probably would be, well, connecting LinkedIn, and then, well, if you search Yuri Hirayama on their website, then the first thing that comes up would be the LinkedIn information. So
Yeah.
yeah, they can freely contact me. Well, instead of email, right? By
Yes.
LinkedIn
Yes.
or direct message would be the best, so that they can review my previous posts, previous activities, and then if they can agree to what I do, then yeah, feel free to
Amazing.
join the sessions, like free sessions. Yeah. That is the
Amazing.
approach.
I'm in so awe of you and all you're doing, and I know you're not even just getting started, you know, because this is the beauty of it. We kind of start with one little seed, and then I feel like we see enough just not to make us go like and then we kind of go, okay, and we're like, okay, and then it's like something else comes, and then slowly, before we know it, you know, it all just keeps beautifully unfolding. So with that in mind, what I like to ask my guests is, just off the top of your head, if there was one message that you could share with a viewer today, just anything, what would you tell them?
Great. Education is very important. Yes. And then, well, education and networking are very, very important. And then people just say that, parents might say that, teachers might say that, but they need to be aware of the importance of education and networking. Why is networking important? Well, the information comes from those kind of people, right? So be proactive to establish that correct networks. Really, correct means appropriate, relevant. So they need to choose people so that they can expand their own network, so that they can get educated. That is the thing. And then, sorry, the second thing I would like to mention is, young people tend to emphasize so much on learning science, innovation, but think about their own local communities, sometimes maintaining tradition, being conservative. That kind of approach is also necessary. Yeah, not only the city people, but the local people also, right?
Absolutely.
Very important to make up the whole nation. So that is why I started to do research about indigenous people in Latin America. Well, starting from Mexico, but all the other Latin American countries, and also upper north, Canada. Yeah, and then of course in Japan also indigenous people exist. But we don't have so much information because we tend to think about how to innovate. Yeah, how to seek, like how to look for the better future, especially focusing on innovation, technology, latest technology. But the true leaders need to think about how to balance innovation and tradition, culture.
That's beautiful.
Those are two messages, right? Networking building, and also the importance of balancing tradition and innovation.
Amazing, absolutely amazing. And just because this is I'm so thankful for your time and all that you've shared. But as this is, you know, your opportunity to express anything else that you would like to express, if there's anything else you would love to use your time now to say, feel free. But it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much. And then let's stay in touch. And then also, I am frequently invited by the students' committee members, for example, so that I can, well, make presentation or I can do some sessions for free. So if you are interested in, then yes, please invite me as a guest so that I can give you more advice.
Amazing, absolutely. And as you can see from this beautiful lady, not only who is making massive, impactful, transformational changes in this world, not just community in this world, you can see she's so kind, loving, and has such a grounded, humble, and lovely energy. I think you're an absolute blessing. And I love all that you're doing. And I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you.
I admire your activities as well. Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, so thank you so much. And I'm going to put all of her details, especially her LinkedIn, in the notes. Connect with this lady, and I'm sure there's going to be some very, very impactful leaders and other people that are going to definitely want to connect with you because you are making waves. Let's just put it that way. And I love your logo or your picture for your center. Really beautiful behind you.
Yes, I will make progress very modestly, but yes, right, steadily. And of course, I will, yeah, try to influence people in a very positive way. Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You're very welcome. Take care.
Okay, thank you.